morning.
Good morning, Della. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. There's challenges, but God is good in all of it.
Oh dear. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad the sun is shining today. We have another beautiful day here in Wisconsin.
Actually, the sun is shining here too, so it's very pretty as well.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. All right. We got Hank, or somebody that's using Hank's screen name.
But no picture.
Can you say hello, Hank, or whoever's using Hank's screen name? And if you, it's okay if you just want to be in listen only mode too, but if you're having any issues with connecting your audio and using your microphone or anything like that, just let us know. Be happy to help. Okay, got you all set up there, Della.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go.
Hey.
You don't look like Hank.
Is that I am?
Kimberlyn, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh, Kimberlyn, nice to
See
see
you.
you.
Yeah, I didn't quite finish mine for critiquing, but I figured this way I can at least take advantage of everybody else's. So
Absolutely. We just love it when people show up and they participate. It's great.
I did get the eyes going. I got the dress. I just got to the face point and it's still, like I said, I can't make myself go too fast.
Yes.
Well, it's better to take your time and do it right
Mm-hmm.
than rush through it and have to fix mistakes.
Yes. Yes. My grandkids are all gone. I think I do actually have 2 weeks without having grandkids for a little bit. So, but I enjoy having
Oh,
them. I'll take them anytime I can. So,
Yeah, yeah. I obviously, I don't know from experience right now, my kids are still young yet. So maybe in another 10, 20 years, we'll have grandkids. But, they keep you busy, don't they?
oh yeah, yeah. I had three for about a week, and then I had a 2 day break, and then I had three more little different ones. And but I go get them. So this time their parents were gone, but I'll go get them just to spend the day with them. So it's
Yeah.
the good thing about retiring.
Yeah. Right.
how
Right.
many grandkids do you have?
I have five, 15 down to four. Yeah, she makes sure you know that she's four. So
Oh, yeah. 4.5. And don't you forget the half, right?
exactly,
Or
exactly.
going on 14.
Well, she hit her terrible twos in four.
Oh,
Okay.
Sweet as can be, and then she's still sweet as can be. But when she decides to melt down, she melts down. And it's about 10 minutes and it's over, and then it's back to smiles again. I don't know. She's four. That's all I can say.
Exactly. Yeah. What are you going to
hi,
do?
Judy. Hi, Donna.
Hello.
Hey, Judy, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Great.
And is
Okay.
it Kimberlyn that is on Williams?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. All right, well let's dive in here. Let's begin the meeting. Well, we have a few people here, but that's good. It's always, quality over quantity. I'll take quality over quantity any day, and you guys are important.
Agreed. Agreed.
Glad you're here. And on this beautiful second day of summer. I mean, yeah, yesterday was the
Right.
first day of summer, and it's that longest day of the year when the sun is up for the longest time and the sun sets at like 9:30. Love it. But let's go ahead. Well, I'll open up with a word of prayer. We'll say a few things, and then we'll get started on the critique. So, Father, thank you for the people attending here today. I ask that you bless this meeting. Thank you for the opportunity to use this technology to connect with artists all over the world and for what you're accomplishing, Lord, in this portrait challenge, with many artists painting portraits for the first time, or just really endeavoring to paint a portrait they can be proud of. And I just love to see the participation and the growth in each artist. And I pray that you would bless this critique so we could encourage each other in our work, to see the things that are looking good and celebrate those things, and then to lovingly point out what can be corrected so that we can make our work its very best. And I pray you keep each person in good health and bless this meeting in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining this live critique here. Now, this is our, I think it's our 4th or 5th. Can't remember, but we have this one today, and then we'll have one more, and that'll be the end of our critiques for the portrait challenge, because we'll be doing lesson number 7. Actually, no, we'll have 2 more critiques. My bad, 2 more critiques. One for lesson 7, and then we'll have a final one for lesson 8.
Good.
But yeah, so I'm just grateful that you guys are here, and thank you for those who entered your work into the critique, and just trusting us to be able to help you with it. It's like iron sharpening iron. We're better together, and we've already seen many great changes with the artists that have entered their work, put the suggestions that you have offered into practice, and then they have kind of a greater sense of confidence in their work. So it's awesome. But how are you guys doing today? You can go ahead and unmute yourselves and we'll chat for a little bit.
Doing well.
Okay. I want to give you guys an opportunity. Anybody that would like to share a little bit. I think we've seen some of the same faces here from before. I see Daphne down there. I'd like to welcome you, Daphne. I can't remember if you were in our meetings before or not. I think this might be your first time, right?
No, we critiqued me last week.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, that's all right. You have hundreds, I'm sure.
yeah. My long term is better than my short term memory these days.
Yeah.
But
I was Ed Hemmer last week on screen.
oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, good to see you again, Daphne.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. So yeah, let's get this started here. I'm going to need to leave at about 10 to 11, about 10:50. I have another meeting coming up at 11. So I'll need to make it just a bit shorter this week. But we should be able to get all 4 critiques done today. Della, Donna, thank you so much for being here, for moderating. And if you guys haven't met Della and Donna, they're our admins in our All Access membership Facebook group and in the Realistic Acrylic Portraits group as well. And they do a wonderful job of just helping with the community, keeping everybody just chatting smoothly and facilitating excellent critiques that we do here. So, and the critique like we're doing today, we have these every week in our All Access membership as well. And Donna and Della help with that too. So Donna, Della, do you have anything to say today?
I don't think so. If everybody has been here before, we will try to divide the time fairly equally. So if we do run out of time for people sharing on one particular critique, we can also use the chat. And if something's happening and you're trying to raise your hand and it's not working, put a message in the chat and then we can give you a hand with that. I can't think of anything else. Della?
Nope, just keep your comments coming. We'd like to hear what you have to say about whatever critique is out there.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Della. Thank you, Donna. We do encourage your participation, whether you've been painting for years or you've just started. So you actually grow as you critique. Okay, let's switch into the screen here. I see Sarah joined. Welcome, Sarah. Good to have you as well. Let's begin. Okay, we've got, let's see, I gotta get these images tiled over here. Let's begin with Sarah. Sarah, go ahead. Tell us about your painting, what you've been working on, and how we can help. Just need to unmute yourself.
Unmute myself. I'm still got troubles with my legs, so I'm kind of using a rollator to get through to my office so I can plug this computer up so it won't go on a thing. Okay. So you want me to tell about my art in general or what?
Oh, well, just tell us about this particular portrait. I mean,
Okay.
if you wanna introduce yourself briefly, like where you're from and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I'm from Watkinsville, Georgia. That's close to Athens, Georgia, which is probably about 90 miles northeast of Atlanta. And let's see. And I love this. I love this class. This is really helping me a lot with my art. I've been doing it for like 60 plus years. So, but this has really helped me break through for my picture. Is that my picture? Oh yeah. Yeah, I noticed right there that I need to fix that right there. That looks kind of flat top there. But when I was painting this, I thought I was using ultramarine blue, and I was actually using phthalo blue. And so when I went to do the dress, I thought it still looks green looking, you know. So and the background looked green. It was different. So I thought, and I'm like, this is not blue. This is not the blue. So I looked, it was phthalo blue. So I came back and I redid the dress and a little bit on the background, but I believe all the others looks okay. So, that's, yeah, okay.
Great. Well, Sarah, that happens sometimes with phthalo blue and ultramarine blue. When they're on your palette, they look kind of close in color until you dilute them a little bit with matte medium. Then all of a sudden it's like, wow. So the difference is just dramatic. So that I've actually had that happen to me once before, where I dipped into the wrong one for a second, and so I always try to place them the same order on my palette. I always line them up in the same exact order as I did before, so that I know exactly where to go for it. So you can do that with that palette layout guide, that I included in the welcome kit of the portrait challenge. And I encourage you to lay out the colors on your palette the same way each time. And that'll really help you. And it's laid out in such a way that if you have bleed through, like when you spray your palette to keep it moist and the colors start to drip into one another, that the colors are very similar and they won't mess them up too much. They won't get muddy. Okay, that was just a little quick tip for you, but let's get into your critique. So, yeah, you've done a good job on this, Sarah. I really like the overall structure, the likeness that you've achieved here. I think it looks very much like Diane, and good sense of form, anatomy, lighting. You have some nice shadows being cast from the palette on the right side of her face. Those shadows look very natural. You have a good sense of the shadow structure on the right side, and some of the mechanics of the glazing too, where you look like you put in quite a few layers, and because of that, everything's getting quite smooth. So I appreciate that. Now let's take a closer look and see. I'd just like to help you with this a little bit more. Excuse me. And if you guys see anything, that you would like to point out, things you like about Sarah's portrait or things that could use improvement, please raise your hand, your virtual hand, right now. And Della and Donna will open it up so you can comment as well. And we'd love to hear from you. So what I'm seeing here, just in terms of likeness, Sarah, would be a little bit of a shift on her eyes, specifically that left eye, because
Okay. Oh, yeah.
it kind of has, if we can just do like, I call it a house top, like the roof of a house, the peak where these two angles meet is a little bit to the left of center of the iris, so a little left of center of the pupil. And so if we do the same kind of thing in your painting, we'll see that the peak is to the right of the iris. You see,
Okay.
if you see
Okay.
that difference, it makes it very apparent
Yeah.
where you want to shift it. And that's very important for the likeness. So what
Yeah.
that would require to adjust it is just be adding a little bit of a thin line here using a small round brush
Mm-hmm.
with maybe some raw umber dark and a little bit of pyro orange.
Mm-hmm.
And then adding a little bit more strength to this upper eyelid fold crease on the left-hand side.
Okay.
You just kind of shift that a little bit, and I think that's going to help her likeness. And then her eyebrows do need to get just a little bit more pronounced
Okay.
right up here.
Yeah. I was afraid to put anything else, because I thought if I'd already used that, maybe I should have used that and it would have probably pronounced it a little bit more.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about the glazing technique is you can always add more, and it's easier to add more than to subtract. So if you're a little bit light, it can get darker. Yeah, so at this point here, yeah, I would definitely go a little darker in some spots. The nasolabial fold can get a bit darker there. Get a little bit more shading on the nose, and you might want to start, darkening the nostrils, and then this cast shadow from the nose as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This eye could have just a little more overhang on it, so
Yeah.
you have kind of 3 angles here.
Yeah.
Exaggerating them, but this top angle, the overhanging part of that eyelid could come down a bit more.
Yeah, and she's not exactly looking at the camera in my picture, but she is in the photo. So I didn't see that. So I got to do that.
Yeah, so maybe a little more negative space here on this sclera on the white of the eye will help.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And okay, I want to stop here. And I want to give you guys an opportunity to contribute. So go ahead, whoever is up first.
Well, no one else has their hand raised, so I'm going to take advantage of that and say what I see. Daphne, I think you have done a really, really good job.
It's actually Sarah, sorry.
Sorry, Sarah, I'm looking at the wrong name. Sarah.
That's okay.
Of getting the shape of her mouth. Her mouth is such a big part of her personality, and it's not an easy shape to get because it's quite unique. And especially that left corner, I see that you've got it really, you've captured that. It blurs a little bit when it's blown up this large, so I can't really give you much commentary on the rest of it, but I sure like the shape of that. And even that little dip on the left side on the lower lip. I just really think you like that. Della may have comments about the mouth to help you. I'm just complimenting you, but Della is our resident mouth person.
Yeah.
I see we do have a hand up, so I will go to Kimberlyn. Excuse me.
You need to unmute Kimberlyn.
Yeah, I notice this shadow go down too.
Your jawline is, that's where I've had my trouble, and yours looks great. Her face, the width of her face and depth that you're getting on the right side is just great.
Thank you, Kimberlyn. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Daphne, go ahead.
I just wanted to comment that I can really see the glazing over time, how well it does the job. I can see your fine, again, the shading on the face and hair. Very well done.
Thank you.
I can see how I should be doing it. And you've kept the lights just right, which is important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Daphne. Yeah, yeah, the glazing technique does a fantastic job of building up depth, and Sarah's doing really well with it. Um, okay, well, if you guys see anything else, go ahead and raise your hand. I think I'll have one more comment here that I'll do. Unless you guys see something, I'll give you guys the mic, so to speak.
I know I need to
Matt,
fix that.
Matt,
sorry.
Sorry, no, you're fine. I was just gonna ask how many we have, Matt.
We have 4, so this would be the
Okay.
first of 4.
Let's one comment on this, and then we should probably move on.
Sounds good. Okay. I just want to take a quick look at the, well, let me just actually look at the shoulder. I think the shoulder might be just a little bit rounded off here.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You know, her shoulders are like a little bit higher up on her, but
Yeah.
I think there's just a little bit more of a corner to her shoulder, and then it comes down just a bit right here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I would just maybe use a little bit of background color and reduce it a little bit. Just match that background color opaquely at about 75% opacity with a small round brush and paint over that.
Okay.
That would take care of that. But
Thank you.
Hey, great job, Sarah. I hope these tips help.
Oh, yeah, they're very helpful.
Excellent. We'll keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for your feedback for Sarah. Let's go next to Judy. Judy, go ahead and tell us about your portrait and how we can help.
Okay, well, this is my first portrait ever, and I just want to make sure that I'm where I need to be at this point. There are some areas that I, wasn't real sure, like the on the right shoulder, it looks like the shading just kind of stops instead of gradating like I feel it needs to be.
Okay. Okay, great. And Judy, did you say this was your first portrait?
Yes,
Very well
it
done.
is. And I've only been painting for about 3 years, and I've only done landscapes. So this is totally new to me.
Yes, yes. Thank you for taking the challenge of painting a portrait. It's not easy to do because you have to, make it look like a person, make it look like the person you're painting. And so congratulations for doing your first portrait. It's looking good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've got some really good form here, good shading. I like the glaze work because I'm seeing, overall very nice smooth application. It's not like heavy-handed. Sometimes you'll see some, beginner artists that will go really opaque, and you're getting the glazing technique, right away. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as far as the right-hand side of the shoulder, getting the gradations, it's the way you want to do that is, when you put down your layers, you'll have one layer and kind of, place it at a certain strategic location, and your next layer you want to follow up, but go past the original point. Right.
Okay.
So like if you do a follow-up glaze, you'll want to bring it past that original glaze because the glazing technique is a little different than opaque painting in that you get the cumulative of layers working together. And it's kind of like if you took pieces of stained glass and stacked them on top of each other, where you'd have the stained glass overlapping, it would get darker at that point. So each time you add another layer, it'll get darker. If you add a layer over this and it's the same glaze that you used here, for example, this will get a little bit darker, but then this will get darker too, but it's not going to be as dark as what's already there, right? Because you have more layers there. So you can stack up another layer on top, move it out further, and then you can also fall short of the original glaze. So like if you do a layer and it goes past this point, that'll create what we call a gradation, shading. Now you could do a third layer and then you identify on your reference photo the difference in value. Like, and where I'm seeing it is maybe right here. You see that little distinction there, Judy?
Yes.
So you identify it on your reference photo, even though I know it's not easy because there's no hard line in actuality, but we have to kind of just imagine it. And then you paint that on your portrait. So you have that first layer that went past it. Now you have a layer that's going just right here. And now you've got 3 levels of shading, and you can repeat that process over and over again, looking for little areas. Now there's a little area right in here that's even darker than this first one. Now you can add another layer just right there. You can add a layer down here, just right there, and see that's going to develop some shading for you. So that's just a quick way on how you can do that, and I hope that all makes sense the way I explained it.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, now, if you guys see anything here on Judy's portrait that you would like to share, whether things you like or things that could use improvement, go ahead. I'm gonna zone in on her face right now.
That's a
And
problem spot.
faces are the hardest part, aren't they? Because there's so much
Yes.
going on, and yeah. How could we help you with it? Is there anything in particular?
Just the shading is really difficult for me, and putting the color in. I know we started with some color, and I'm just having difficulty figuring out how much and where to put it. And
Got it. Yeah, that is always a challenge. We have one hand up right now. Maybe okay. Before we get Daphne there, I'm just going to say what I mentioned to you for the arm, the shading there, and using what I call a segmented blending technique. You can do the same thing on the face. So you can see, you know, where you have some differences in tonal value, like right here, for example, and you can put a glaze right there and overlap it. And you always want to use a warmer color most of the time. Most of the time you're going to use a warmer color as you're going lighter. All right. So that would be, instead of ombre dark, which is not as bright on your palette, you're going to use more of like pyro orange, raw sienna, colors like that have more warmth. But yeah, you can just add more of these kind of layers on top of each other, and that's going to build up the shading for you.
okay.
And I show that in the masterclass lessons. You might want to go back, you know, and watch some of them again. And, you know, that's what they're there for, you know, to keep referring back to. Okay, well, let's get some feedback from you guys. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Daphne.
I am so impressed. First portrait. And check out that mouth and nose. Hey, great. A whole general thing would be just her, let's see, no, the right upper forehead. And that would just get a whole general impression of her better. Beautiful work.
Okay. Well,
But
thank
that
you.
right, there you go. Yeah. A lower hairline. And a lower hairline. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Thank you, Daphne.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. There's a little, there you go.
Great. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for the encouragement too.
Yes.
Okay, so with the time we have left in this critique, let's discuss a few things on the facial features as well. We talked a little bit about shading, and again, you'll need to just really refer to the masterclass lessons, and keep in mind on this next one that'll be coming out, lesson 7, we'll be doing more with shading, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. But yeah, so you have the eyebrow. I see it at a different angle on the reference photo. If you can shorten that up a little bit, you know, because currently you have the shading kind of leaning down, and you've got a little bit of a different angle going on in your painting than what's in the reference photo. And I'm glad that you do see this shading. You know, you're seeing the shading here, but that comes down just a bit lower, and then that eyebrow is a bit straighter.
Okay.
Also, if you look at the reference photo, you'll see the eyebrow is a little bit darker right here. And the reason it's darker is it's not even just the eyebrow, you're seeing the actual skull structure. And the way the light is, we know the light is kind of on the left-hand side, right? Because there's a highlight on the left side of her forehead. So the light shining down from in front of her and slightly to the left. You also can tell that because of the reflections on the eyes and the reflection or highlight on the nose. So the shadows then are going to kind of fall opposite of that. All right. So there's going to be stronger shadows right here and here. Her nose wing could be just a little bit different. If you extend the shadow coming from this right hand side, bring it down more, that's going to help balance it out. It looks a little bit short width-wise on the right hand side. Okay, so that's going to help. The nasolabial fold. Overall, I like the fact that you've seen the different angles there. That's great. But the mouth comes up a little bit higher on this left-hand side, and it actually kind of tilts down. If we just simplify this and kind of make a straight line, you'll see that her mouth has a bit of a different angle to it. So if you can lift this left side up a bit, that's going to help too.
Okay.
Yeah, so just trying to share as many things as possible within this time frame. I would continue shading. You have a nice strong shadow here on the chin and jawline. Now you want to also bring that into the right-hand side. This is a really good opportunity right here, Judy. This spot right here. Separating the, top part of her skull with the cheekbone right there. So if you can get some shading and pull it all the way in there, close to her eye. So you can get good separation on that cheekbone, on the top part, and a good separation here on the lower part, right there. That's going to help.
Okay.
You also want to get a little shading in here too on this upper lip area. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I hope that all helps. Oh, we have Della here. Della, go ahead.
This is really looking good. I just am really impressed with what you've done. I just want to zone in on her hands. I think her hand on the right, the top finger needs a little different shape.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on that before because I was having issues before when I was critiqued, and I worked on it, but it still just doesn't seem to want to do what I want it to do.
It's hard, I know.
Yeah.
But you're
work on it
coming
again.
along well.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up, Della. And I would say, Judy, if you mix opaquely with titanium white and maybe a little bit of raw sienna, Indian yellow, maybe a touch of pyrrole orange, you can add that finger up there. Like you can just, like I annotated here, you can bring that shape out. And if you do that, that's going to really help a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. The other hand too, maybe got a little bit short change. So if you could do the same process there, kind of bring that up a little bit thicker, that's going to help too.
Okay.
All right. Well, Judy, fantastic job on your very first portrait. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. You've given me lots to do before the next lesson comes out.
All right. Excellent. Well,
thank you very much.
You bet. Better to be busy than bored, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's go on next to Margaret. Margaret, is Margaret in the meeting today?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's all right. We can help her because this will be, well, it's recording as we speak, so no worries. Okay. For some reason, I keep minimizing that reference photo when I don't have to. I'm just so used to our live weekly critiques for our all access meeting where we have different images each time. Just a creature of habit, I guess. Okay, well, here we have Margaret's image. Margaret, fantastic job on this. Love the smile. Boy, you've made Diane look so happy, so full of life. So well done there. I do also like the shading that you're accomplishing on her face. It's really adding a lot of dimension, and yeah, the hair is very nice too. I like the waviness of the hair and the way you have it darker towards the high contrast area of her cheek, and then it gets lighter as you radiate out. So it really looks kind of, you know, like her hair, kind of frizzy and wavy, and it's good. Okay. See if we can help you a little bit with the facial features. I guess the biggest thing I'm seeing is that in your portrait, her eyes look a little bit large. You know, I think you've idealized it maybe a bit, and it's easy to do when we see eyes. We just do tend usually to make them a little large because they're an important feature, and things that are important we tend to enlarge. It's just a natural thing. If you adjust her eyes just a little bit, like I was mentioning with Sarah in the beginning, just kind of trim down this top part with a little bit of the skin tone color that you could match with titanium white, raw sienna and burnt sienna, and possibly a little pyro orange and Indian yellow. Just create an opaque skin tone that you would have at 75% opacity, so it's fluid enough to cover without creating a lot of unwanted texture, because that texture is very frustrating if you have layers and layers of it. But you can apply that right up here on the upper right corner and kind of shave down the sides of her eye a little bit. Also, same thing right here. You know, the eye is a little bit more compressed. You know, she has more of that overhanging area from that upper eyelid fold. So that would need to be compressed a little. And also her irises could be just a bit smaller. So a little bit more of the sclera showing. That would help. Eyebrow could have a little bit more height to it and not come down quite so much here. So you could lift that up a bit right there. You can add a little bit of raw umber dark, maybe a bit of naphtha red and raw sienna, and create a tone and just kind of shift it up a bit. And then maybe get a little more distance on this eyebrow too. Okay, I'm going to stop here because Della looks like she has something to say. So go ahead, Della.
I'll just comment on her mouth. I really like the way you've done this, Margaret. It's looking so good. What I do see is that her bottom lip comes across straighter. You have it kind of dipped down too much in the center. If you could just bring that up a bit, I think it would help her smile.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you, Della. I appreciate that. Her mouth is kind of tricky because we've got, you know, some shading on the interior right here, and then a highlight right there kind of on the left-hand side, which corresponds to the lighting scenario in this portrait, where we have a highlight on the kind of left side of the nose, the eyes, and the forehead. So we want to leave some room for that highlight. Now, if you've, you know, darkened it too much or it's gotten a little bit out of shape, you can just change that again with an opaque mixture of titanium white, naphtha red, maybe a bit of pyro orange, and Indian yellow if necessary to make it match the rest of the painting. And you want to see that her lip does kind of come down a little on this right-hand side, but it tapers up. So the top edge of the bottom lip tapers up on that right side and then comes down on the other side a bit. So it's going to be tricky. Like I haven't really even gotten to that in my own portrait yet, getting these nuances in, but it's going to be really fun to do. Okay. If you guys see anything else, go ahead and raise your hand. Just want to see if there's anything else we can share that'll be of value to Margaret. Those are the biggest things. I would say, Margaret, that this shadow on her forehead is maybe a little pronounced. You want to kind of get a little more of the roundness here. So in your next glaze, you might want to put one right there and kind of round that out a bit more, and then leave some room for that highlight in the middle left side. Now let's take a look at the rest of it. One of the things you want to be cognizant of is the value structure, Margaret. So when we look at, you know, the value of her shirt versus the value of the palette, we see that the shirt, you know, the dress, top part of her dress, is dramatically darker than her palette. If we just draw a little rectangle here and just imagine there's nothing else in the picture, we're only looking at two little squares. Notice the difference of the top square versus the bottom square and how much darker that is. In your painting, you've got it kind of opposite. It looks like the palettes may be a little darker, or they're about the same value. It's possible they're very, very close in value. One thing that might be helpful for you is if you take the reference photo and convert it to black and white. There's some apps that can do that. Convert the reference photo to black and white, convert your painting to black and white, and then you can evaluate your values without the color getting in the way. But right now, you could do is just start adding some glazes to her clothing. And so you've got some beautiful shading there in the arm, but if you just add a general, what I call a general glaze going over the whole area, where you just make it even, you're not trying to do any shading, and you just try to paint it as smoothly as you can across this whole area with maybe a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch flat brush. And ultramarine blue, raw sienna, those are good colors to use. And you can just make this whole area on the top darker, and then kind of leave off on this palette and don't do really much more work on it at this point. All right, so Margaret, I hope this all helps. I think we'll need to move on to the last image. But
We do.
Donna's like, yes, we do. Donna keeps track of everything, and I appreciate that. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for your feedback from Margaret. And Margaret, I hope this helps. Let's finish up here with Tanya. I didn't see Tanya in the meeting, but you just never know, because we have people that join like halfway through the meeting and all of a sudden there they are.
I don't see her here.
Not here.
All right. So here's Tanya's portrait. And, you know, I just love the fact that every image is so different, right? Have you guys noticed that? We're all painting the same reference image, but each portrait brings out different aspects of it. And I just think that's cool. Different style, different, you know, rendering of the facial features, different colors. And I love it. All right, so Tanya, great job in your portrait again. I think you've really brought out a wonderful smile, just like the previous portraits too. And she really looks happy and excited to paint. I like the kind of the twinkles in her eye, the color of her lips. That's a very pleasing color you've achieved there. The glaze work, I like the mix that you have here on her clothing, and I think overall it's very smoothly applied. So well done there. So on your painting, you know, I know it's in progress. I think you could benefit by adding some glazes on her hair, just really filling in some of these forms. You've got some wonderful little pockets of value that are showing the textures and the shadows within her hair as it's curling around. But if you fill in some more of the general value. So again, like I was explaining in the last critique of filling in the shirt and darkening that whole area, if you just do a glaze over all of her hair and pick a color that'll work for everything, maybe some raw sienna and a little bit of burnt sienna, something like that. Just glaze over that with a glaze that's maybe, 90% matte medium, 10% paint, and just begin to fill that area in. It'll help, because right now she looks like a blonde, and she's got a little bit more brunette, kind of brunette, almost redhead look to her. So we want to bring out that darker value. Now let's take a look at the facial features. I'm just going to zoom in. So the shape of the eyes are very, very important, and getting that distance between the eyebrow and the eyes are very important as well. I'm sorry, I just have like a sneeze coming on here. There's a little bit more of a distance in between the eyebrow and then that top lid. So if you can kind of draw little hash marks, sometimes that helps. If you have your reference photo printed out, it's something that you can do. Just draw right on top of it. But we're doing it here on the critique to help you out. So if you lift up her eyebrow a little bit higher, that's going to bring out her likeness more. So I would say, again, mix a titanium white, raw sienna, burnt sienna, pyro orange, Indian yellow, opaque layer at 75% opacity. So just adding a little bit of matte medium to make it fluid. And then kind of paint over what you've got. Don't paint out the eyebrows completely, but just kind of add a glaze right here. And then you can add a little bit of another area of the eyebrow on top with raw umber dark and pyro orange, raw sienna, and just kind of lift that eyebrow up a little bit. That's going to help. The shape of the eyes is a little bit different. So there's a little bit more of the white of the sclera right here that you're going to want to show. The irises may be just a little bit large, so you can just kind of trim that in a bit. And I think that's going to help too. The top part of the right eye does come down a little bit more as well. So her eyes are just a bit different. Like the right eye is a little bit different than the left, at least in the way it appears to us in this reference photo. So you want to bring out that uniqueness of the eyes in comparison to each other, and just bring that overhanging part down a little bit more, add a little bit more of the white here, again, to shrink the iris a little bit. Okay, I'm going to zoom out just a little. I do like the colors you have on the shading for her face. Very, very nice colors. The shadow on, whoops, let me get a different color here. The shadow on the nose could be a little bit stronger. And then notice how the nose kind of comes together right here. We have this part of her, this would be her skull structure for the opening of the nose, and then the cartilage part is down there. So it's kind of separated a bit. And this is kind of what you're seeing. I know that there's really no line here, and it's hard to see the definition of where the nose is. So we have to almost imagine what it is. But this little bit of shading gives us a clue. And that kind of tells us where the actual contours of her nose resides on the top. So this line comes out too far to the left on your painting. You're going to want to bring that in a little bit. Add some shading right there, right here, and then add some shading here just to get that nose a little more pinched together at this point. And then the mouth overall is very good. I know Della could say a few things too, because Della is our mouth expert. Do you want to say anything, Della? Just give you an opportunity here.
I think you're heading in the right direction, in that the right side of the mouth needs to come down a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you look at the distance between the bottom of the nose and the top lip, that will then create that distance that isn't there right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Thank you, Della. that's another consideration too. And I'm glad you brought that up, the distance between the bottom of the nose and the mouth. And then getting that shape adjusted just a little bit. Bring that top part. See how that, even already you can see the difference. So thank you, Della, for bringing that up. To make those changes, just use an opaque layer at 75% opacity, mixing, starting with titanium white and burnt sienna and raw sienna. That makes a really good skin tone to start with. But just so it's not muddy or chalky, because when you add titanium white, it does reduce the vibrancy of the colors. So you always have to bring in some more vibrant colors than what you used while you were glazing. If that makes sense. So you'll have to bring in probably some Indian yellow and pyrrole orange. But that is the way to overcome these areas and make adjustments, is just use an opaque mini layer that you can just kind of blend in and paint over any areas that are off. And that's okay, because even though we're doing the glazing technique, we can do things that are opaque in our portraits too, because it's not watercolor. That's the beauty of acrylic, is that we can paint over things and make adjustments very easily. All right, so
Not if we're going to get you to your commitment on time, we have to be finished.
okay, well, thank you, Donna. So yeah, Tanya, I hope this all helps, and keep up the good work. You're doing a great job. I think she just looks so beautiful here. You got a beautiful smile in it, and the colors are wonderful. So whatever you do, just continue to add on to that. All right. Well, let's wrap it up here, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Thank you for sharing. God bless you guys.
Thank you, Matt.
Keep up the great work. We'll see you.
Happy painting, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye.
Thank you for the info. Y'all did a good thing. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.